Like,
You're thinking about 3 other things.
I'm thinking about Toto Africa.
Yeah, the song.
All the time, mate.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that little silly intro of my guest today, Jonny, doing an impression of Toto Africa. Now, me and Jonny in this episode talk about absolutely loads of stuff. We talk about, I've got a bit of paper here that I've just written some notes on, and there's just so many key words that we speak about for about 2 minutes or so. It's mental. This one's a lot more like the one with Bradley. It's a lot more free, it's a lot more organic. It's just 2 mates having a chat, and we recorded it basically. There wasn't anything we had in our minds to sort out or to speak about to begin with. And in all honesty, we were only going to do an hour, which is what this first one is, when we stopped recording. But I think we discussed it towards the end, where Jonny decided to stay a bit longer. And then we recorded another podcast, which was an hour and 20 or so minutes. So that'll be out next week. This episode, just a little vague idea. We speak about YouTube and Logan Paul, Kavos, as in both the place and the YouTuber. We talk about sex education and children, as in like how well people should be educated and what age, that sort of thing. Songs stuck in our heads, religious upbringings and whatnot towards the end of it, where we talk about we both went to Catholic primary schools and that sort of thing. We talk about a little bit about racism as well. And I named this episode Life Lessons from the Prudish Punk, because Jonny is a work colleague and I love him. He's great fun and he's really intelligent and he doesn't think he is, which is quite unusual. But we have a lot of discussion in this, and I was surprised how prudish he was, how much he didn't want to talk about certain things sexually, which is completely understandable, completely fine. But I did find it very funny, especially because he's like this sort of mod punk sort of guy. He's fantastic. I love him. This is a great podcast. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting, fun, all the usual things that I claim my podcasts are. And yeah, you get to hear Jonny again in the podcast do another little impression of Toto Africa. I mean, if you listen to the song Toto Africa, just listen to the start, the detail almost how accurate it is that he did the impression of it just cracks me up. Only for a few seconds, but it was just, yeah, I just thought I'd chuck it in there again. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. Thanks as always, guys, for listening. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I'll be back at the end to talk about part 2 and potentially what follows. Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton. Well, that faffing, it is weird though, isn't it? Because like, when you've got like, basically, I said it to Dom in the podcast, when you've got like a robot penis in your face, it always can make it a little bit, it makes it feel unnatural to talk, but then over time...
It looks like a microphone, mate.
You've ruined everything.
There's a robot penis there.
What, your fucking vape thing?
Yeah.
We're literally 15 seconds into a podcast and you already bring up fucking vaping.
No,
you can say I'm not part of the vape train. You say I'm not part of the vape train.
I'm not having that.
You are.
I'm not part of the vape train. I am using that, so I do not smoke cigarettes.
See you on the vape train. Choo choo.
No,
do you like puffing out like really big? Do you like puffing out?
No. Well, we were out at the we were out the other night, weren't we? And that geezer had one, and he was just blowing like smokes. He was like Thomas the Tank Engine, and we were like, we couldn't work out what he was getting out of doing that, other than annoying everyone in there.
Well, yeah, it was making it like, it was almost bringing his own atmosphere. That's what he was doing. He was like, here, I come and I bring the fog with me.
Yeah, just like under that shelter thing, and it was just, what's he doing?
Well, that's it. But before we get into anything ridiculous, let's say hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat. I'm your host, Mike Burton, as always.
Thanks for having me around. Thanks for making me a cup of tea.
And this is Jonny.
Gone, so
it was gone, yeah, because you drank it before the podcast, because I had some technical difficulties, which I was trying to mess around with all the volume and all the gain and mess around with loads of different things, and all it required was taking the mics, unplugging them, plugging them back in, and moving the mic slightly closer to Jonny, and that literally solved every problem.
Yeah, you didn't get me another fucking cup of tea though, did you?
I didn't know, but you drank it, or you were looking at it before we started, and we were looking at it like, you know what? And I was like, you're going to put it down? Because you reached to put it down on the table in front of us, and then you lift back up, and I was like, I can move the table forward. And you're like, oh no, it's just got to that temperature now. Well, I just can't put it down because it gets too cold, so I have to drink it. And you just drank the whole thing then, and you just put it down. It's like, okay. If you want more coffee, mate, you could have asked. Got Coke Zero Vanilla. Coke Zero Vanilla, bro.
Yeah, I've never come across Coke Zero Vanilla. I didn't realise that
it's new.
Coke Zero had gone into that.
Well, the thing is, Coke Vanilla I'm not as much into.
I'm banging to Coke Vanilla, banging.
Yeah, I think Coke Vanilla is good, but because it's so sugary, it's too much. I don't like standard full fat Coke. I love Diet Coke, and Coke Zero is all right, but Coke Zero Vanilla is just fantastic. I just don't like the opposite. It's like Pepsi. Pepsi Max is my favourite standard cola drink, but normal Pepsi is my least favourite.
They're different drinks, mate. They're different drinks.
Some people say Pepsi and Coke are the same. It's like, have you actually drank them both though? Like they literally are actually not the same.
No, I don't
they do have a
understand.
distinctly. I'd say Diet Coke, Pepsi Max, and Pepsi. All four of them taste completely different. But then you get Coke Zero and Diet Pepsi, and they taste kind of similar to the other counterparts, but not as much as the other ones. They're very. You're looking at me.
What even is like Coca-Cola? What like?
It's from the coca plant. It used to have cocaine in it at first. It wasn't like let's put loads of cocaine in it. It was made from the plant, and I think they just put more of the plant in, and it had cocaine in it or something along those lines. And they stopped doing that.
You've spent so much time on Wikipedia in your life, haven't you?
I'm one of the few people who, I think I'm the only person I know who's donated to Wikipedia. I can't remember if it was 5 or 10 quid. It was about, oh man, I can't remember if I'd moved out or not. So I think it was around 4-ish years ago, but it might have been 3-ish years ago. And I just donated to it. I was just like, I use Wikipedia all the fucking time, and it's saying, look, if everyone donated 5 quid or whatever, we'd be sorted. It might be 5 quid, actually. I might be blowing my own trumpet. But, and I was just like, fuck, I use this website all the time for free. I was like, 5 quid's nothing to me, so I just did it. And it's like, there's a couple of YouTubers, there's one YouTuber I like, and one podcaster, who I donate to Patreon.
Who's the YouTuber?
It's a Star Wars one. It's called Star Wars Explained.
Star Wars?
Fuck you. I shouldn't have let you on the podcast. I shouldn't have let you on the podcast without you watching. This guy's never seen Star Wars, any of them. Lord of the Rings, any of them. Yeah, have you ever seen Harry Potter?
Nah. What's that?
The Wizard.
I know. I've been called Harry Potter a couple of times.
You've also been called Pete Doherty.
Don't.
The pain in that man's eyes when that happened.
Not funny.
Isn't it? It's pretty funny.
Alright, well, no, we're not going into that.
Oh, I've upset you. That's it. Should stop the podcast. We'll just end it here. That's enough.
No. I was wearing a hat, and I walked into the pub, and a chap thought he was funny, and he thought I'd look like Pete Doherty, so he told me, and I told him I didn't think that very funny, and it just got a bit heated. So in the end, I left, and that was it. And that's what Michael's referring to. Didn't need to bring it up.
I didn't even know the story. You never told me the story. So
you giving me the ump now, mate.
I was brought it right down. Right down.
Yeah, no, that.
So we got some real deep, somber stuff then.
Yeah,
What's in your mind?
YouTubers. I'm into YouTubers at the moment. Mainly because I see what arses there are out there.
What kind of YouTubers do you watch?
It makes me brilliant. Right. It makes me feel brilliant. Sorry. I'm a big fan of Kavos.
I have no idea who or what that is. Is that a place?
Yeah. It's, I believe it's in Corfu.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a guess.
Let's find out.
You're going to Wikipedia that.
I'm not actually going to Wikipedia. I'm going to Google it. It's Google and Wikipedia.
Have you ever edited anything on Wikipedia?
No, I'm sure you have though, because you probably think it's hilarious. No,
I've never tried actually.
Oh, you're not one of those.
So have you got a Wikipedia page?
Me? No.
I'm submitting that.
You're going to make me a Wikipedia page.
Michael Burton, Icy Mike.
Oh God. It is a village in Corfu Island.
Boom.
You nice. You got that knowledge. You got the knowledge. Anyway, what did you just say? Like
Kavos.
You were talking about Kavos.
Kavos.
Before.
Is a YouTuber. He's a
the whole village does as a YouTube channel.
No.
I'm just messing with you.
You're a plum.
Yeah.
He's just I think he's like, he must be a teenager, but he's like a commentator, and he just goes on to it looks at these like YouTube celebrities like this Logan Paul and this his little brother who's
Jake Paul,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well,
do you know what I
I've
mean?
got
I
a few
can't-
YouTubers I like who've spoken about them. One's called Nathan Zed. He's fantastic. He's done a video about Logan Paul.
I'll
PewDiePie
have a
even did
look at
one.
him. I'll have a look. Yeah.
Nathan Zed, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's really, really, really good. He just talks about loads of cool stuff. Some of his
iDubbbz.
videos are really funny. Sorry?
iDubbbz. Are you familiar with iDubbbz, the content cop?
iDubbbz. No,
iDubbbz.
I used to be really, really into YouTube. Like, I used to watch absolutely fucking loads of it. But
Really?
yeah, but I really, really did. I used to watch shitloads. That's what I used to do before Netflix. I just used to always watch YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
but this is the thing. Like, I've been
But
on
I don't-
Netflix for ages, but I've only just got on this YouTube
See, I've
thing.
flipped-
This thing's so new to me. I'm like, I don't understand like what these kids have done to get this following, because their videos had no sort of there's no content to so many of these videos, and they do daily vlogs of nothing.
Of brushing
And they
their
have,
teeth and stuff like that.
You know, I've been introduced to this phrase recently, clickbait.
Yep. Clickbait, yep.
I'm like really, really out.
I just want to
of
clarify. I
touch,
know
mate.
Jonny may sound like he's a 50-year-old man, but he's actually 30. He hates to admit that he's 30, though. God, you almost had a breakdown at work when it was your birthday. Oh, I felt like cuddling you in front of the excuse me, in front of the co-workers, but no. None of that tomfoolery. I'm a plum. But yeah, continue.
I've forgotten what I was saying. You give me the ump.
Giving you the hump, just subtly chipping away at your self-esteem.
Yeah. I can give it, but I cannot take it. As soon as it comes my way, I'm out there firing shots.
I love it. I love
Kim
it.
Jong, Kim Jong.
Oh, you're like Trump. You're like Trump tweeting.
Mate, what is that about?
We were talking about clickbait, by the way.
Yeah, clickbait. Right.
We need
But no,
let's do clickbait.
just on that, mate. What is that about? The American president tweeting yesterday about how happy he was about the level of like black and Hispanic unemployment. Like, irrespective. Like, I can't remember how it was worded, but.
He's not a stable guy. He's really unstable. He's not someone who should be running a whole country. Like, no matter whether or not you like him or you don't like him, like, you have to look at it like he's literally such an unstable human being. Whether or not you like him or his policies, he's completely batshit. He's completely lost. He can't handle it. But without it, the pressure, he's just like a weird old dude. But like with all this pressure on top of him and all the attention, it's just magnifying everything and making everything way more intense.
It's shocking. Like, imagine,
How does he live? How does he survive?
Like, imagine if you were like cryogenically frozen, just hypothetically. You know, anything can happen in this world. Donald Trump's president, but like in 2008, 10 years ago, and you come out and someone says, "Oh, you know, who's president of America these days?" Donald Trump. Donald Trump. What, with the fluffy hair from The Apprentice? Yeah, that geezer. Nah, you're gonna be on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was between him and basically a war criminal, Hillary Clinton. All the crazy, horrendous stuff she did. I don't think that either were. I think they're pretty much.
That could potentially be libelous.
What, you think that you're worried that the government are going to listen to this podcast? If Joe Rogan could talk about it with millions of followers.
I'm not sure how libelous that is.
If Joe Rogan could talk about it, like, you know, you can still have the conversation. But you're scared. You're getting worried.
Anyway, sorry.
Freaking you out about Hillary Clinton.
Clickbait. Right? sorry. Clickbait. Clickbait.
Kick the mic, mate.
Yeah. I've just discovered clickbait. I'm not familiar with a lot of social media. I don't do Facebook. I've come off it over a year now, clean. You know, sober. From Facebook.
Sober from the book of face.
Like, I as you know, I don't understand it. I feel
difficult
that
to get a hold of, you prick. And people text you and just ignore it.
Yeah. My phone's always on silent. You're actually on sleep. Anyone that texts me more than once a week is on sleep.
Is that good? Does that mean that we're close?
You think I'm joking? Look.
Does
Look at all the people that are on sleep on my phone. Look.
That's a lot of people, like, already. I can see from here, just all the names. So does that mean that I'm special to you because I contact you enough to be put on your sleep list?
Yeah.
Thank you. But you were talking about clickbait and you don't understand it. Well, do you not understand what the term is, or do you not understand why people watch it?
I don't get it, mate. I don't get the whole YouTube thing. I don't get. Let's focus on YouTube. you'll see a video. Let's focus on this one lad, Deji. He's called Comedy Shorts Gamer, which is ironic because his videos are long and he's not funny, and I don't think I've ever seen him play games. But he's a daily vlogger. He is the younger brother of KSI.
I know KSI, yeah.
He's a 21-year-old kid that still lives with his mum and dad, and he went to that forest before Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Right, a few weeks ago, and put Clickbait. I nearly died. He went into that forbidden part, and then in a bit of that, he says, "We're going to go and find a dead body." So he actually went into that forest to try and find a dead body, and I think he's got millions of followers, little kids. Well, I don't know millions. He's got millions of views. Sorry. And he's got such an audience, and he is a role model to these kids, and he's doing stuff like that. You know, and the clickbait thing, you'll have a picture of him, like a picture of the Deji looking shocked, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in big letters, "I nearly died." And the little kid's going to click on that, and he's like, "All right, well, nothing actually happened. He just went into a forest, and it was quite dark because it's called a suicide forest, and he was going, let's go and find a dead body." That's really messed up. And it was only... No one picked up on that at the time, and I don't comment, I don't get involved with stuff like that. But, that video's been on there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And Logan Paul does it, and, and that's still not mentioned, but millions of kids have seen, like, a dead body. And the sort of... The reason I'm talking about the clickbait thing is... the sort of images that they have that you actually click on to get the YouTube video up, the connection to the content, you can't have like Comic Sans font on a video about death. Do you know what? Do you understand the point I'm making?
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
I took a very, very long time to get there.
You're saying that the thumbnails don't reflect what the content is, and it's not fair to kids. They go on it thinking it's either going to be something funny.
Why
or
didn't
cool.
we have this conversation before, and you could have just summarised that in a few words?
Because it's so much more fun listening to you. It's so much more fun. So on, you're on it. I mean, this one will unfortunately have to be a bit of a shorter one because you have to go tonight. But we're gonna have to. We'll have to sort one out. This could be a taster.
We'll thrash it out.
This will be a taster for the other one for other people. Then in a few months, just on a weekend, just have you over. have a more chill one. But
I don't think that these YouTubers understand the responsibilities they have as role models.
Yeah,
either. That KSI, he puts out a video. It wasn't even like I didn't even have to sign in to watch it. I could have just signed. I didn't have no filter on. I was just able to watch this video where it was a diss track with lyrics on there. Some of the lyrics, "Your dad is a weirdo. He looks just like a pedo. Your mum gets fucked by sheep. Fam, it's really that deep." Like, as in, like, thing, which is that's actual lyrics, and there's little kids watching that. I saw a YouTube event. He was doing it live. Little kids singing along. You could hear little kids' voices going, "Your dad is a weirdo. He looks just like a pedo." How is that allowed to get to little kids?
Yeah, I understand what you mean with that degree of censorship, but it makes me think, like, for example, when you were younger, did you listen to any music with a lot of swearing in or anything like that? Because I know when I was about 10, when I was 10 or 11, I'd listen to Eminem like all the time. Like, I was always listening to Eminem, and I just look, most of the lyrics I only listened to. I went off Eminem for a little bit, not hugely. He didn't release anything that I was into for a while, and I just got into other music. And I went back to him when I was about 18 or so, after I stopped listening when I was like 13 or 14, and it was like half the lyrics I didn't realise I didn't know what they meant. If I played the song, I sung to them a little bit and thought like that, but then I was like, wait a minute. And I realised I was like, half these lyrics I had no fucking idea. Yeah. There's a couple of lyrics where he says about in Without Me, it's like come and lick, come on the lips, something like that. Fuck that, come on your tits, and some on your lips, and get ready. That thing. I didn't know what come when I was like 10. I didn't know the word. I knew what semen was, but I didn't know what the word cum was. And I was like, come on your tits. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I did go to a fucking Catholic primary school though, even though I'm not religious. But we can get onto that later. But I didn't really know about that. And with certain things, I believe that live events is a kind of different story. I mean, a lot of gigs you have to be like 14 to get to if there's like horrendously explicit lyrics and stuff. And there could be mosh pits, that sort of stuff. You don't like an 8-year-old near a mosh pit.
No. But you know, they were great fun when you were 14. I mean, that's what 14-year-old kids do. They go to gigs and
when you're 14ish, but it's just like when you've got the
know?
young kids going and seeing KSI. I mean, I agree to a degree with the swearing, but I think obviously the sexual content. I think if we lived in a world where from an incredibly young age you taught all kids generally about sex, like not like Ridixy intense, right? You're 5 years old, let's watch Pornhub. Like mum, like if they ask questions or if they get to a certain age and they haven't asked questions, you just say, right, basically you do a special cuddle when you're an adult, when you love each other and you can make a baby, and mummy has an innie and daddy has an outie, and you put them together. But you explain, if they have any questions about it, you explain to them that you can't do it at this age, you can't, and give them give them a vague idea-ish, and then as they get older they'll be more understanding, and then when they have questions they'll just ask you. Like, well, I said this story I think before on the podcast, but my niece, when she was 7, or I think she was about 7, might have been 6 actually, she said, might have been younger even, she said to my brother Rob, she said, Daddy, when you put your seed in mummy, did you use the front bum or the back bum? Now that's such a hilarious thing for a child to say. That's so funny. But it's just like, with that thing, they cracked up. And then Rob said, when Rob told me about that, he said, he couldn't say this, but he said, it was definitely the front bum because it wasn't my birthday. So, it's
You've not told me that one. I've not heard that one.
Yeah, mate. So it's with that kind of thing though, when the kids like Leah, my niece who's 19, like I don't talk to her about sex very much because she's my niece.
Yeah.
But the subject has gotten. We've skirted around the subject a bit, talk about relationships, and that the word gets used, obviously that sort of thing. You discuss it in general, obviously not any detail, but it's like they seem to be just normal in that sort of way. Whereas when you repress a lot, then it can have problems. And so if you make it so that they understand to a degree and they have a vague idea, and when they have these sorts of questions, they can ask people and you can explain it to them in a real way, then you'd be able to have it so that 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds or whatever could potentially be at a KSI YouTube event where he's playing one song, because if they are in the right mindset, like when I was that age and I'd go to that, it wouldn't fuck me up. But there's a lot of kids who haven't been educated. And that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is the education of it.
These are the parents not taking them to these events.
Well, the parents are, but it's like what I'm saying is I don't necessarily think it's right generally to take young kids to those sorts of events. I think I don't know how you, in an ideal world, I don't know how you do it, but you'd have to almost screen the kids to see if they're mentally capable.
It's just a question of
why?
Just like actually understanding, like little kids, like understanding what they're actually saying.
Well, the thing is,
and like you're saying, it goes back to education. Like,
it's a societal problem.
I think I had sex education when I was in year 6. I like you. I went to Catholic primary school.
Yeah.
And I think it was only like probably an afternoon. I don't remember much about it, but that was all I had. That was the only sex education I had. I didn't want to have that conversation with mum and dad.
I recall, I think it was 2 or 3 lessons. I think it was 2 lessons where it was mixed, where it was boys and girls watched the same video. It was just a video, and then you could ask questions at the end in like anonymous notes. And then there was one video the boys were shown and one video the girls were shown separately. But what annoys me about that is, why would you show them it separately? Anything that boys should know as everything biologically about women's bodies, and vice versa, you should know. Then when you become adults and stuff, you can understand. If you don't tell boys about periods, they become like 16, 17, 18, and their girlfriends got their periods.
Can't talk about that.
And the girls got them, and then they freak out about it, and then they get really uncomfortable like you are.
Yeah.
See, you don't like it. I'm not bothered by it. I don't care. I really am not bothered by that sort of thing at all. But the thing is, if you when you were like 9 or 10 and you were told basically a woman bleeds from there, before you knew anything else about that organ, you'd know it's just such a natural thing.
The more like I can feel like.
Would you never? Have you never done it with a woman when she's on then? Your face. Have you? I have.
Oh my god.
I want to clarify. I have.
Oh,
I'm not going to go into details because I want to hear that.
I'm not talking.
That means that you have, and you know that you don't. Because the thing is, you know. Because I think if you said that if you didn't...
This is vulgar, and this is just it. This is just it. If people have the education, they will learn not to talk about stuff like this, and not to be vulgar. like KSI. KSI,
you're such a prude.
If he'd had a proper education, he would not be writing songs about
So you're saying
alleging
Eminem,
that one of his friends' dads was a paedophile.
So you're saying that Eminem is like stupid because he writes about killing people.
No, because you have to allow for some artistic license.
Oh, so it's just because you don't like KSI, but you like Eminem, so you accept it. You are awfully constrained for someone who's so modern punk-like. You're like Johnny the punk rocker. Fight the system in every way, unless someone tells you not to, because then you don't want to insult people.
Do you know what I mean? There's a certain level of decency, and if you're gonna put stuff like if you're Eminem, like your audience is huge,
but not when he released his first album. When he released his first album, he had less followers than KSI does. KSI has millions of subscribers when he released that song.
Maybe this is this is a wider issue, and this is just censorship. And
the thing is,
I think there has to be like artistic license and like that.
What you're just saying artistic license. What do you mean by that?
Like, so, right, okay. You know what I mean by artistic license.
I legit actually don't. That's why I'm asking.
Legit. Okay.
I'm confused by the term. Like, what do you mean? Like, someone has to be a certain level of greatness to be able to
but
do
if you're putting, if you're recording an album, for instance, and you're putting like Eminem, you're putting everything into it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have the following that KSI has. He's put everything into that album. Like, he's not speaking as Marshall Mathers, like...
He's speaking as Slim Shady.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an alter ego. And in a sense, like, KSI, that's his alter ego. But he vlogs his life on a daily basis.
Right.
And his followers are little kids.
So you're saying it's more dependent on how you're saying it's almost like how much the followers know about them, and like how much they want to relate to them will be like that. But you could argue though with Eminem, people may even follow Eminem more because all they hear is his crazy, I'm going to kill you with a chainsaw, all this crazy shit, I'm Slim Shady and all that sort of weirdness. It's brilliant. But people don't know the real Eminem, so they may think, I associate myself with that. I like his crazy weirdness, but actual real life he's not that mad. But like with KSI, you get to see that he's a normal person outside of it, and it shows that you can just have people who are just normal, fine people, and then they have outlets that are not.
He is a privately educated kid. Who is he's done really well for himself.
Yeah.
He has made millions of pounds basically from playing FIFA.
Yeah.
But off the back of that, and there is a number of others that have done this, they have released music which is fucking dreadful. It's all dreadful, and
if it was good,
I don't want to keep swearing, but it's absolutely terrible. Right,
you can swear constantly on this podcast.
So,
no problem.
The YouTuber, so this Deji, he's released tracks. It's got, millions of views. Whereas you've got people that have been touring, working, sweating their guts for years and years and years. Like, don't you think they have, like, a right to perform as an artist for working hard and hard? They should have that artistic license.
I agree. I agree.
KSI has no right. He has absolutely no right to be, like... saying stuff like that. That is terrible. He should, like, when he's got that many viewers and most of his fan base, and that wasn't even censored.
Here's the thing, right? Well, as you've said a lot of things there, right? Okay. with the following sort of thing, have you thought potentially of people such as I think it might have been Will Smith, or might have been someone else, who use outlets that they don't conventionally use to be able to get the amount of money they want to be able to fund projects that wouldn't necessarily be able to make as much revenue on and build as quickly. For example, if I just started a band tomorrow, no one would care, in a sense. It would have to be either one ridiculously lucky break, or it would just take time and effort. But if, say, this podcast got, I don't know, 5 million listens, which would be ridiculous numbers, that's like Joe Rogan numbers, but say it got that amount, and I was the band, even if 1 or 0.1% of those people even listened to the band, even gave it one go, that alone would be such a big boost up. And there's been actors who are rappers and vice versa, that sort of thing, where people have, like, The Rock. I think he said that he's always wanted to be an actor, but he couldn't get into acting, so he went to wrestling. And then,
but if you're a wrestler, you're an actor.
Well, I know that, but it's not. There's other parts to it like that. Like there's Corey Taylor, singer of Slipknot. He writes obviously his music. He's an author. He's done a comic book series with the concept album to two of his albums. He's written 3 or 4 books now. He's helped direct a movie.
Yeah, but if the content's good, then it's like no one's going to be like, oh, he's piggybacking.
Yeah, but here's the question now, because this is what it comes down to, which is censorship. And the issue that I have with censorship, I believe there should be restricted ways to access them from certain ages, but I do not think of censoring certain. There are a few exceptions, but with censoring stuff in general, I think it should be open, because the issue is not necessarily what you censor; it's who decides what you censor. And the problem is, if you do that on a vote, you have way more metal music that I like and way more punk music that you like censored than these YouTubers you don't like, because of the amount of people who know of them and know of their following. There's a spotlight on them, so more people gravitate towards it and see them. Therefore, if you called it to a vote of the people or democracy, they would vote out the things that are underground that we enjoy. So if you took that away, you'd have to choose a panel of experts. But it's like, who chooses these experts to choose what does and doesn't get censored? And it leads down to all sorts of other pathways with stand-up comedy. Like I've said things before to people, there's been jokes and stuff like that. I've never tried to be racist or anything horrendous like that. But if you say something, someone gets offended, and they're like, oh, I'd rather you didn't joke about this or didn't joke about that. That's fair enough. When it's on like a stand-up comedian, when you go to see them live, they do a dead baby joke or something, okay? Now, obviously, babies dying isn't funny.
Yeah.
But if you go to a stand-up comedy show and it's in the context and it's not like about something that literally happened like yesterday, necessarily that's horrendous and tragic, you go to this show or you go to Jimmy Carr and you may expect something horrendous and tragic because that's his humour. You go there, you expect that. You take it, it's like, okay, he's not saying this is a horrible way, it's just using it for comedy. You can't censor that. Because if you censor that because one person gets offended, like, I don't know, the Muslims or the Christians or any religious cult, any religion, or religious organisation or anyone, you get them offended, and then all the other sects of that same religion will get offended and start complaining and saying other parts of it should get banned, and then other religions will join in. And also it happens with people. You know, if you start saying, I get offended by dead baby jokes, then you get people who are rape victims who will say it makes them uncomfortable, which is understandable, but then they'd say, I don't want other people to hear that because
But then
I'm offended.
you wouldn't get like an 8-year-old kid at a comedy show, would you? You wouldn't.
No, exactly. So the issue here is there need to be more
I
filters. Here's one. Right. I don't know. Obviously, you're a few years older than me, okay? But I think we probably got on the internet a similar-ish sort of time. With you don't have to talk about this necessarily because I know you get funny about talking about that sort of stuff. But with porn, how old were you when you saw any of it? Not even necessarily talking about you touching yourself, anything like that. Just when you first saw porn, I think I either saw it in like a magazine or something like I think a friend of mine had Max Power magazines, which were these car magazines, and there were topless women in like 3 or 4 of the pages there. That was, I think, some of the first times I saw it. And then people had on their phones in school, and like 8 and stuff, I think it was, when they had like Motorola's and things like that.
I never had anything like that.
Yeah, because we were literally like the 5 years before you.
We had picture phones, but like, you know, my mates had it, but I never had anything like that because I was like, I didn't want anything like that on my phone.
Yeah, I never had anything like that on my phone either. Thank God for incognito mode on the internet. But on Google Chrome, it's great.
What's that? Incognito
mode on Google Chrome. Are you joking? I can't tell if you're joking or not. It's smiling at me like that.
I honestly don't know what it is, mate.
Do you know what Google Chrome is?
Yeah, I know what Chrome is.
If you press either Control Shift and N for November, or you click the options in the top right and click New Incognito tab, it opens up a tab for you, which it doesn't remember anything you go on. And you can put it on your phone. I've just got Google Chrome on my phone. It remembers what my bookmarks are for when I'm on Chrome. And when I want to go on porn or I want to ask it a question that I wouldn't want anyone to know that I've asked the question of. You know, some of the stupid things like define the word. What was it the other day? There was a word that I couldn't remember what the meaning of it was, and I just incognito moded it because I just didn't want it saying on my Google Chrome. If someone went on my phone and saw the last thing, what does this really simple word mean? I didn't want that. But there's other stuff that I asked. There's things like a while ago I was thinking about just women squirting, and I was just curious how it worked. So but I didn't want that on my Chrome. I didn't want that on my profile. Like if anyone used my laptop or something on the Google Chrome standard and typed in something and it came up with how do women squirt? What is the thing inside the vagina or urethra that causes this? I don't want people necessarily knowing I'm asking these sort of questions. But you go in incognito mode, no one ever knows. And you go on porn on incognito mode, and it doesn't save anything you do. It doesn't save your location settings or your passwords or anything. And then you just close the tab, and it immediately wipes any memory it had of it. So you just use incognito mode, and you can go on anything, really.
You love a bit of detail, don't you?
That's how I roll, dog. So I got a podcast. But then again, you did take about 5 minutes to explain about thumbnails of clickbait.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I know. Literally, there's just so much going on in my head. It's just, it's just so difficult for me to hold a conversation.
That's what I'm kind of...
While I'm having this conversation,
You're thinking about 3 other things.
I'm thinking about Toto Africa.
Yeah, the song.
All the time, mate. All the time.
Is that like a constant? Is that just at the moment it's in your head, or is that?
No. If it's not that, it's the Frosty song, from around 2006, where there's a little kid. Okay. It's in my head right now.
Okay, well,
they're gonna taste great. They're gonna taste great.
Oh, like Frosty's advert. Oh yeah, the cereal.
Yeah,
I've had adverts
honestly.
stuck in my head. I've had I had the Lion King tune. You can ask Reese.
I can't hear you, mate. I've got Toto.
Fuck you. Reese or Callum, when I lived with them for about a year, I had the Lion King stuck on my head. Literally, yeah. And it was just, I walk in the house and I go,
which
oh, Slovenia! And I don't know the words, so I just go, oh, Slovenia, and go, and then I'd yell that as I walk into the house. Like, as every time I'd come in for like a year, it was just always in my head. Well, not every single time I went to the house without fail, but it was like a lot of the time. And it was just in my head for ages. And I had, there's another tune that was in my head for like 2 years as well. My buddy Reese, he had, there's a Devil Driver song called Die and Die Now. And it's like a really heavy, it's like the drums like, and it's like really heavy.
Drum, yeah,
it's
that
terrible.
sort of thing. Devil Driver.
Yeah.
I don't think it's my sort of thing, but I'll check them out on the way home.
Well, the start of it is just really, really, really heavy, and it's a guy with low pitched vocals and yelling. It says, "Go, it's my life. Go, it's my song. Every time I have to write another hate song, this is the last great hate song." And it's really, really, really heavy. And Reese had it stuck in his head for like 6 months, and it'd be all the time. And you play that song, and he's like, "I can't fucking listen to this. Turn it off." And it's just. It's not just you. It's called an earworm when you have a song in your head. But I have the thing where
really, mate, I've got loads of earworms, just like constant ones.
Yeah, there's few.
Like,
I've got some dormant ones. Where I've got one main song. I've got ones like one main one in my head that's coming on, and then that kind of goes away. And if I don't get another song I've been listening to recently in my head, another one would that's kind of always there, just phase in.
Like, are they songs you like? Because these
Not
aren't
always.
songs I like.
No.
Like, other than
A lot of
Toto
the time.
Africa, I don't like any of the songs in my
A
head
lot of the other ones. I had Pussycat Dolls. What was it? What's that main one? Your girlfriend or something.
Don't you wish you
That one. I cannot stand that song. That was in my head for about 6 months. It's awful. It was just dormant, and it just if I listen to like a song and half listen to it, it would disappear. And as in, if I listen to half a song, then the Pussycat Dolls song would disappear, and then that song would be stuck in my head for a bit, but only like a few hours, and then that would go away, and then eventually Pussycat Dolls would just come back. And it wasn't 100% of the time when I'm thinking. It's just if I thought about anything to do with like songs or anything like, I was like, oh, I had this song stuck in my head. There'll be Pussycat Dolls. Okay, great. And that was just that for 6 months. It's that sort of thing. It's like everyone kind of gets that, I think. But when you're talking about the thoughts, like a lot of the time I'll be talking to people and thinking about 2 or 3 other things like vaguely in the background, kind of formulating thoughts. I do a podcast. I listen to podcasts and think about my own podcast and like think about things with it. I have to often stop doing that though because I just half do both of them. Maybe that's what I'm doing with certain conversations with people. I'm just like,
mate, like I can really relate to that.
It's like a static that's like a buzzing almost, or like background noise that never ever goes away.
Yeah. But
and
like
you can have one thought at the front of your head that's making the most noise, and it makes the rest of it sound quieter by comparison, but it's never really fully off.
But why are they so like obscure? Like that's really specific. Toto Africa. They're gonna taste great by Kellogg's, Frosties.
Got to make sure you say it. Got to say it right, Brad.
Other cereals are available.
You look supermarkets now.
Other Frosted Flakes. Are other Frosted Flakes available?
Yeah. I had some Tesco ones.
That's so you, Frosted Flakes. You're in your 20s and you still have Frosties.
Actually,
that's
I
like
think
Jeremy off Peter's show.
I think you'll find I actually have 3 cereals in one bowl, and actually this is where it becomes worse because you guys at work obviously think I'm a weirdo because I am. Here's it, right? 3 layers. There's rules to the layers. It's not just it's not just nothing. The bottom layer is like either Weetabix or shredded wheat, 'cause it absorbs all the milk. The middle layer's got to be like either Frosties or cornflakes or bran flakes or something to be the even thing that gets enough wet but not too soggy. And then top layer is normally like Rice Krispies or something like that. At the moment, I've been having Weetabix with Shreddies, and then Curiously Cinnamon on the top. So you pour the milk on the Curiously Cinnamon, and it makes the Weetabix taste of cinnamon. And what's great about it is you only have to have a third of a bowl of something sugary, and it makes everything else sugary, and it all tastes great, and it's really great fibre and stuff for the Weetabix. It's genius. Only about 4 people in my entire life have I met who appreciate the genius of 3 cereals. You gotta have the layers. Rice Krispies have to stay on the top. That sort of thing. Cocoa Pops are the best. You have Cocoa Pops on the top with cornflakes in the middle, and then Weetabix in the bottom. You pour it on, the cocoa powder comes off the Cocoa Pops, goes onto the cornflakes and the Weetabix. Then you basically have choco everything, and it's literally a third of the sugar of a whole bowl of one of them. It's genius.
Mate, that is incredible.
It makes so much sense.
That is one of the best things I've ever had.
It's also one of the worst things you've ever heard.
I've never personally done it. I mean, when I was a little kid, I had a weird thing of eating golden grahams with butter.
That's awful.
My older brother was like, you're a bit odd, mate. You're a bit,
That's awful. I know
golden grahams with butter. He's Mum, I told you he's a wrong one.
The runt of the litter. Or the I know a few people who have cereal without milk, and one of my mates who has cereal without milk, Tom, actually, he's been on the podcast a couple of times. He's mentioned he knew a guy who had cereal with water. What kind of psychopath has cereal with water? Fucking.
Who was this guy?
I don't know. I want to meet him. I don't know if he's a hero or some sort of villain. He's either the new coming of the. He's either the second coming of Christ or he's the second coming of Satan.
He's a maverick. We don't know who he is.
He's too much to fit. We can't fit him in our society. He's too different.
Like he's like Heisenberg.
That came from nowhere. No relation. Fuck, I've completely lost. We're going on.
Right. Mate, that was.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Mate, I'm gonna have to leave and stop off and get 4 boxes of cereal on the way home from Tesco.
I'll tell you what. No. You don't need to do that, mate. Here's a simple solution. Okay.
Simple solution. You buy a multi-pack.
Yeah, mate. Multi-pack on offer, £1.25. That's each box is 1 layer. Okay. So you have 1 or 2 main cereals, like 1 box of Weetabix. Everyday value Weetabix from Tesco's is the exact same nutritional content and ingredients as the Tesco's own brand.
Because you looked it up.
Yeah. No, I got the 2 boxes next to each other. Put them next to each other because one's 60p less than the other. They both seem completely identical, and they are.
What, and Sainsbury's up there?
Sainsbury's there, literally, I've got some, which are everyday value. Literally, you get the everyday value ones, the exact same as the branded, just the named ones, the picture of it or whatever. A lot of, not all the stuff, like baked beans everyday value is disgusting, but a lot of stuff you can get, especially cereals, like cornflakes, everyday value cornflakes are exactly the same as Sainsbury's or Tesco's own brand cornflakes.
I would love to be a fly on the wall watching you do your food shop.
I'm quite quick, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm looking for, mate. But no, seriously, cereal, you get 1 thing of like Weetabix, 1 thing of like cornflakes, and then you get a multi-pack that's all sugary cereal. So you just have those, so like 8 cereals, you have a different one every day, and it's really sugary. You get like Cookie Crisp that goes in amongst like the Weetabix. You get like a spoonful of Weetabix with like Cookie Crisp in it. It's fucking amazing. Because the chocolate Weetabix is too sugary.
Are they? I've never had chocolate Weetabix.
They're lush, but they're really sugary. It's just like this. The only point of even having Weetabix is to not.
It's actual tears.
It's alright, mate.
Right, brilliant. No, I'm not upset. I'm I'm just like, mate, that's amazing.
People just think like this is.
Have you ever thrown a Cheerio in there?
Just 1.
No, because you got to have at least 5.
Yeah, I've done it with Cheerios. Cheerios have to be good. They can be top or middle layer. Depends. Middle layer Shreddies, because they're quite square and quite big. They're good because the milk goes straight through them, but it keeps them nice amount. And then you got the Cheerios on the top.
Yeah, what about a crunchy nut? I do like a crunchy nut.
Is best for the top. Best for the top. You got Weetabix that keep the bottom. Then because the crunchy nut, what the milk does, it softens them all up, but it doesn't get soggy.
I've never combined cereal because I've always thought that's fucked up.
You have crunchy nut with a spoonful of half crunchy nut, half Weetabix, and it's fucking lush. It's like having twice as much crunchy nut, but it's not bad for you, and it's more fibre. It's literally it's great. And that's just I just think about everything that I do in my entire life in great detail. I've done it with sauces a lot in my life, and I've started doing it more as well recently. I've got into the habit of it again.
Yeah,
mixing sauces.
Brilliant. Okay, talk to me.
What I'm doing right now is ketchup
Yeah.
with sweet chili sauce. You do
Okay.
a ring of ketchup,
Yeah.
and then fill the middle with sweet chili sauce, and then a splat of ketchup in the middle. Whisk it with a knife, and it's just really, really nice sweet chili ketchup. Because sweet chili ketchup, the Heinz one's like £1.30 for like 300 grams bottle, 300 millilitres bottle, or you get a whole Tesco own brand £1 bottle of it's like a half a litre of tomato ketchup, and you get like a 750 millilitre glass bottle of the Chinese sweet chili one. There's also in the Tesco.
Other brands of sweet chili sauce are available.
No, the thing is, the sweet chili sauce brands, the main one's Blue Dragon, and that's like £1.70 for like a 200 millilitre bottle. Whereas you get the Happy Boy ones from Tesco's in the international aisle, 750 millilitres, mate, £1.83.
That the big ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got a glass bottle there. Doesn't fit in my fucking cupboard though, does it? All my other sauces in my cupboard, mate, all of them. Not my sweet chili sauce. Doesn't happen.
Keep it by your bed.
I don't eat things in my room very often. I eat cereal every morning though. Get my dressing gown on, Star Wars one. Walk downstairs in my fluffy slippers, a Lush. Inside of fluffy, not the outside. That's pointless. You come downstairs, bowl of cereal, glass of smoothie, lay back in bed with the quilt back on, eating cereal, listen to a podcast in bed.
Oh mate, that sounds amazing.
It's great. It wakes
I'd
you
love
up.
To wake up with you.
That can be arranged. You just have to tell Sophie, Lucy, an all-nighter at work, and then just come over here and we'll snuggle. We'll snuggle, then we'll sit up in the morning and just listen to a podcast, eating our 3 layers of cereal and having a glass of smoothie, both wearing identical pyjamas and dressing gowns.
If she listens to this, she's definitely going to think, I always thought he was.
Yeah, he always made me fuck him in the ass with a... That was a horrendous noise.
You're cutting that out, mate.
No, I'm going to reduce the volume of it. I'll normalise it now so everything is fairly even placed. So it's going to seem really like... You yelling is just going to sound like...
Trying to censor. Oh, God! Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah. We haven't got a huge amount of time left. I think we've got about 10-15 minutes before we have to go, if that is.
Nah, we'll carry on.
You'll keep on.
It's Christmas. It's not. It's
the
several weeks
It's
after.
the 10th of January. It's 2 weeks after Christmas.
Yeah, I went in Rome just to, I'll be.
When sat on Mike's sofa with a mattress behind you.
Yeah.
Mike is also sat on a leather sofa with a mattress behind him, but none of it matches. I realise that these two sofas and the throws are almost the same colours as those two sofas and the throws, but those two are just lighter.
Yeah.
I only just noticed that. These have been in this room like this for probably the last 2 weeks since I recorded with Alex Hart. No, it was a week ago. Wow, I'm terrible.
That's crazy that matters to you.
It doesn't matter. I just only just noticed. I just noticed it. It's a weird coincidence. You got brown and green, and it just happens to be all the throw colours and all the different.
Should we take a break and switch them?
That's what I have to do. I have to have a crazy break. But I wanted to ask you about about religion, because before we were doing the mic tests, you went off on one and it was great. You were raised. You don't have to talk about any of this in ridiculous detail that you feel uncomfortable with, but I don't think I've spoken about it that much with myself. I was in my primary school. It was a Catholic primary school. My dad is an agnostic, and my mum, she has hope in stuff. Like when things get bad, she sometimes will pray to God. Sometimes she'll pray to this. It's kind of her. She just kind of believes in something, My dad was agnostic about it, but they sent me to a primary school, St. Patrick's.
Yeah. I had a few mates that went there.
Yeah, and it was alright, but it was a very much God heavy, obviously.
Yeah. You don't get any sort of, because I went to Catholic primary school and secondary school.
You went to secondary school? Oh yeah, because you went to St. George's.
Yeah, I didn't get any I didn't really have any understanding of any other religion, and that's that.
I was the same for a long time.
That's
bad.
With that naturally comes
tribalism.
A level of ignorance because of the lack of other education.
Yeah, it's everything.
Everything I know about other religions is stuff that I've read myself. Because I think, do you know what? Like because up until like sort of 15, 16, being brought up in this Catholic world, like people aren't just. Not everyone's Catholic. Not everyone's
exactly.
Christian,
it's weird, isn't it? When I was 9 and 10 years old, I started to question certain things that were taught to me in Catholic school, certain questions that they didn't have the answers to. Which, funnily enough, now, because I've looked into the religion quite a lot, and looked into quite a few other religions, some of the questions that I had, which would go against religion in a way, I have the answers to them now, if if the teachers there knew enough about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some questions I had which were just like, why would this happen? How could this possibly be the case if this happened? Well, some of those things I now know an answer you could give from a religious perspective to explain that.
Yeah.
And I'm not religious, you know.
And I'm not myself, and I think because my upbringing and that, and I there was so much.
Just your mother was a Catholic.
Yeah. Like my mum, she's.
Was your dad a religious?
Catholic? No, he couldn't give monkeys. Yeah, but my mum, she grown up in the church. Well, like she brought us up in the church kind of thing. She's very, very involved. She has that in her life. It makes her happy. There are things that I can't understand within it, so I just leave it. Leave it be. I don't. And she doesn't have to make me understand. I just accept that that's what she believes, and we don't. You don't need to talk about it. And it's the same. It's the same with any religion. I don't understand religion really. I don't follow anything. I've never been someone. Well, as an adult, I've never explored anything like
nothing
religion
spiritual,
or
nothing religious.
Yeah. I've read up on it because you meet people that you meet people throughout your life who are a different religion, and
it gets interesting when you talk about
to understand
them.
and I've
different religion
I've
cultures
with people with different religion, and that they're more than happy to talk about it, and I think but for me, I don't know what's being taught at Catholic schools nowadays, but
I don't think it's very much different. I mean, I was taught very little about science, and also in secondary school, I went to a standard secondary school. It was not very religious at all. In fact, our religious studies class before GCSE was actually the least religious. It was the least religious modules and things that they could possibly choose. It was very little. It was generalist about religion, but a lot of it was about moral decisions like euthanasia and drugs, that sort of thing. But the thing is with the religious, the secondary school, they taught science and stuff, and it just bored me, and I was just really not into it. And as soon as I left college, and that was around the time where obviously the internet's been around for obviously quite a long time now, but it was around when I was in college where I got a smartphone, which was when I was 16, so that was 7 years ago. So it was kind of the midway through my teens, smartphones became a thing. But it was only about when I was probably 18-ish where it became the thing. It was like they were picking up speed, but then everyone bloody had one about 5 years ago, and now it's literally pretty much every single person now. You can't really. I don't think you can really buy any phones that aren't smartphones that are brand new, really, unless you get like a old Nokia and stuff.
yeah, like drug dealers.
Yeah, throwaway phones, and a couple of people just don't care and are off the grid. But it's like this. Just because this device, any question I have, I meet anyone who's religious, and I just put a note on my phone or something and just say, write the religion. Like my mate Jasmine and Reese, they were talking about Sikhism, being a Sikh. And I didn't know anything about being a Sikh at all. And they were just saying they were talking about it, and it's actually a really interesting religion. And I've only read a Wikipedia page and a couple of other things about it. It was the other night I read about it. But one of the really interesting things was that they value the word of what they think the word of God should, the word of God and what it should be. But they say living truthfully is more important than knowing the truth, which is. And don't force the truth upon others. That's part of the Sikh religion. It's basically saying, look, if you don't believe in what we believe, that's fine. If you live a good moral life, our God thinks that you're going to be fine. Therefore, we don't want to. It's fine. You can believe. If you want to come and talk to us, we'll happily talk to you about religion. Welcome to join. But if you don't want to join, that's fine. As long as you're living a good life.
Yeah,
I think that's what more Christians are like that as well. There's a lot of Christians who are like that. My buddy Dom's like that.
We are very, very fortunate to live in such a sort of
multicultural country that's also not run religiously,
and the city. I mean,
Southampton is incredibly. People don't know it's Southampton is one of the biggest, most densely populated cities in the UK. It's very far down south. It's near the Isle of Wight, and it's 230,000 people, including the outer areas in this area, which is a lot of people considering in the whole of the UK, including Scotland, UK, and Northern Ireland, there's 60 million people. So you think there's 250,000 people almost in just Southampton alone, and it's on a docks, so and it's right near the Isle of Wight. We've always been very multicultural. We've got a high population of variety of ethnicities and religions.
Yeah. Well, and we like I say, I mean, we are very, very fortunate because I know it isn't. it isn't the same all over the country. There aren't.
You go further up north, in general, there's less diverse.
There's a divide, and it's. I understand it's very, very difficult. I mean, you only see, because I don't live in Luton and I don't go there all the time. You only see what the media
lets you see,
as you say.
Yeah, well, the thing is with religion as well. For example, like, because I've met, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm going to explain something and I'm going to start it, and it's going to sound really weird, but it'll make sense. Okay. Because I've grown up with, in primary school, in secondary school, and because of Southampton, I've grown up with fellow students and teachers and whatnot who have been different ethnicities, you know, black, Asian, any of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That aren't the standard majority of Britain, which is obviously Caucasian white. And also lots of people with different religions, especially secondary school. You see women with burqas and hijabs and all these sorts of, you know, a lot of religious wear and stuff. And you see males, especially in college, you saw a lot of males, you could wear whatever you wanted, really. A lot of males had turbans on. There's all kinds of, and because of that, I never. What you find a lot of the time is there's been documentaries on it, and a few other people have looked into it. And a lot of the time, when you get these, let's use the really bad stereotype of just the Southern American redneck, okay?
Yeah.
They generally think that there's something wrong with black people in that sort of way. Not all of them, obviously. There are very small amounts, but this stereotype, they are against blacks. But a lot of the time, the reason for that, obviously, not to mention the slavery sort of aspect that goes back to the Civil War, but in regards to also, they've never really met a black person.
Yeah,
so all they hear is nothing. All you need is one neighbour in one cul-de-sac to say the N-word loads of times and say how bad black people are. If no one's ever met any of them, they get that weird thing where a lot of people get this, if they're not open-minded enough to think out of this, they get that stuck in that box. They go, oh, these people are bad. I've never met them, but I know they're bad. And then when they meet them, they act unpleasantly towards them, and then the other people are like, why are you being like this, and act unpleasantly back, and it makes a cycle,
which is absolutely bizarre. And I think it must be I think it must be a lack of education, because I cannot understand for the life of me why there would be this. I
get so frustrated with it in one of the podcasts. I think one with Bradley, I should have released before this. I think it's been released this week. Literally, I've done it when I'm not on the podcast as well. It's just like, it freaks me out just thinking about how people actually think that people with different skin colour are worse than them. And it's literally, you look online and it's just, there's a map that shows you exactly what skin colour, what the tone is, how close the equator is. And it's literally just about the melanin in your skin.
And
about vitamin D. That's all it is. There's a few other very minor cosmetic things and a few other very minor, incrementally small things. But that's it. There's nothing like overtly different about their physicalities or anything, and that's not even a reason to hate anyone anyway. And also their personalities. You can't judge an entire group of people, you know, by this horrendous stereotype. There's pretty much no groups of people that you could name that every single member of them is horrendously bad, even if you say terrorists and ISIS, because even though I'd completely 100% obviously against all that sort of thing, but,
it's absolutely deplorable.
There's people in there that if you have a farmer and you get a drone strike come in from us or America, and it's trying to bomb a terrorist who are nearby him, kill his entire family, destroy all his crops, destroy his house, he's got nothing left, and then some guy comes along and says, look, the people who did this, here's a gun, if you do this, we'll give you a good place to live, or your God will smile upon you. Just go out there, you can get revenge on these people. I don't think that one individual, he goes out there with a gun, he gets shot immediately, or he shoots a couple of US soldiers, even civilians, or something horrendous. It's like, he isn't, not saying every ISIS soldier's like that, but there are people who are in those sorts of, in cults, in groups like Nazis and people, neo-Nazis, things like that, where they're disenfranchised and they're alone and they're isolated and they've got no, as you say, education, and they've got no awareness of perspective,
which is the same as in England, like, you know, I guess it's like it'd be the old National Front, like you're Britain first and you're in this defence,
BNP and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I don't think the BNP are around anymore, but you know,
no, they were, but now it's more UKIP like, sort of thing now.
You know, like they like, you know, the EDL was like stemmed from like faction of the BNP from what I understand.
Yeah.
And you do see, you know, a lot of the people involved with the BNP are involved with the EDL. I don't think the EDL, I don't know what's happening with the EDL anymore, because I don't look it up. I don't give it airtime.
I like to know bits about lots of information, but there's so many bits of information, there's just too much in the world. You could sit there, if I didn't have a job, you could sit there 8 hours on the internet and look up hundreds of articles, absorb so much information. The next day, a lot of it would be gone, and also you still wouldn't even get a fraction. Also, do you want to drink or anything?
No.
Okay. Okay. Right then, we are going to. I think we've kind of gone. We just went sudden halt because I asked you for if you want a drink. Okay, and you need the loo. We'll pop off this. Yeah, it was about 9:30.
So yeah, we'll just carry on shooting the shit, mate. We'll just carry
Okay.
We'll just carry on. I don't think we've actually stuck on a subject. I don't think we're capable of that.
Not the two of us together.
To be fair,
normally
I think the only people that are going to enjoy this are me and you.
Yeah, but that's not a problem, is it, mate? This
That's
podcast.
what it's about.
Well, this is it. Before we finish this part, and so I imagine there'll be another part afterwards. It's one of those things where I don't do this podcast necessarily because I think, everyone in the whole world is going to enjoy all of this. It's like, I like having different guests on because I like having these long conversations with people that you don't always get the chance to have. And I think so many people that I talk to, yourself included, are really interesting. And I want to put it out there. And I just think, if anyone finds you interesting or anything we're talking about interesting as well, cool, listen. If you're not into it, it's not a problem. I'm not trying to push this on anyone. It's just
who actually listens to this?
Who? Well, I don't know the names. It's just a
So have you got do you get people in strange places? Well, not strange places, but outlandish places.
Crazy.
Like Uruguayans. Shout out to any Uruguayans.
I don't think my reach is that far, not yet.
No, you don't get any Uruguayans.
I'm not saying I do or don't, I'm not sure. I haven't really looked it up. I don't really, while I'm quite small still at the moment, I don't really look up the amounts that often. I know how many subscribers I've got in general on certain apps, but it's just like, I'm not, I don't count all the time. There's a couple of podcast groups I'm in on Facebook, and then we exchange info about podcasts and do promos for each other, that sort of thing. But it's like I'm not a number chaser, because the only time numbers are going to make a difference is if I can make money from it, and that has to be in the thousands and thousands. It has to be so like tens of thousands, and then from that you can either get ads, which may be all right, or you can get people to support you on Patreon, send you a little bit of money a month to keep you going. That's it. But I'm not even saying I'm necessarily going to do that. I'm just saying I couldn't even think about that till I hit at least
this one. You probably
10,000.
should. Probably should. As soon as you put, this featuring Johnny Taylor, the governor.
Oh yeah, do you want me to call it, say, Johnny Taylor the Governor, and the GUV''R, NR, sorry, the Governor, the Governor,
yeah,
not NUH,
because that's
Governor.
that's a name that you've given me. That's not a name I've given myself.
I did give you the name the Governor. I can't remember when though.
No, you didn't. I did.
There you go. Incepting. Anyway, we'll potentially be back. We'll potentially be back for another part. And that's the end of part 1. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Part 2 will be released next week. And me and Jonny continue to talk about a whole menagerie of things. There's nothing specific that I can think of that we talk about. So it's just another sort of take it as we go sort of podcast. The week after that, I'm not sure which one I'm going to be releasing. I need to record a few more podcasts. I've got one saved. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to release yet, so that'll be an adventure for us all. And as a reminder, last week's episode was Science But Simple, and it was the second episode of that, the little mini-series I've got going on with my buddy Josh. It was all about the tides, the moon, and the sun, and how that all sort of works, as well as gravity and that sort of thing. Science But Simple was just science but simple, clearly in the name. It's just easy to digest sort of things that we see in our everyday lives. The first episode was how light bulbs work, and a general idea of energy. So if you're interested in anything scientific like that, check them out. Let me know what you think. I think that's it, really. You'll hear me again next week for part 2. Go from there. Thanks as always, guys. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Leave us a review on iTunes if you fancy it, and have a great week. Or don't, I don't want to tell you what to do with your life, so